Hello and welcome to the PM Show, your weekly roundup of what's new and going on in the actual PM world. How are we doing this morning, Matt? We all good?
Yes, good morning. How are you?
Yes, all good down here. Nice and sunny this morning. Won't
Yeah,
last.
sorry, I just turned my volume up a little bit. I said it's better than it was yesterday with torrential rain. We had thunder. Now when we'd finished,
Yeah.
proper loud claps of thunder over here.
No, I must admit, it was lovely here. We had a couple of showers, sharp showers, but nothing horrendous.
Yeah.
So, yes, never mind. Anyway, 1st of May, another month in.
June.
June, sorry, 1st of June, that's the one. So,
Yeah.
yes, we're coming up to halfway through the year. I can't believe how quick this year's going.
Flying. It's proper flying, isn't it?
Absolutely flying. You know, it's crazy. It literally just feels like we've had Christmas, and here we are, literally halfway through the year. I don't know what's gone on this year. I know with COVID and stuff like that, and obviously things have slowed a little, but yeah, it doesn't feel like it. It feels like we're just motoring on at the moment, which is good.
Means I've got to change my calendars. I just I didn't even realise it was 1st of June today at all. Just no idea till you've just said that, and I'm like, oh yeah. Yes. So it is. But yes, so welcome to summer. Are we in summer yet, or is that next month?
What, official summer, or is it calendar summer, or planetary summer, or whatever? They all have different ones, don't they?
Spring ends and summer begins. I don't quite know, to be honest. We've got to be nearly British summertime, haven't we? Surely.
It feels it. It's warm and everything's green again, which is nice. So hopefully we'll get a decent summer, which will be a novelty. Probably not. It'll probably rain and be horrible because we're in England. But hey,
I'll tell you what. Let's talk trees.
Trees? Why? Have you got trouble with your trees?
They're a bit high maintenance, aren't they?
Yes.
I didn't realise how high maintenance trees are in your garden.
Yes.
And we have big trees. We've got sycamore trees. There's 2 sycamore trees at the bottom of the garden. And my God, they are high maintenance. They're more high maintenance than having a pet dog for cleaning up after.
Yeah, you wait till the autumn comes.
Hey, no, we've got a leaf sucker thing, so
yeah, you'll need it.
That'll be an overdrive. But yes, yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it's always nice when you see these lovely big trees. But obviously, we've got a huge oak tree out the front, and it covers your car in sap. And it bakes on in the summer, and it's awful. And obviously, you've got the trees at the back. We took a couple down last year, and because they make everything shady and mouldy. So it's like, they seem lovely when they're in somebody else's garden, but when you're in your own.
When they're in your own, yeah. I'm waiting for the helicopters.
Yes, that's it. You get the helicopters coming down off the sycamore. Lovely.
Yeah. So yeah.
Cool.
But, no, we're all good, mate. Thank you. All good here.
Yes.
Can't complain. Stuff's arriving and going out, which is nice. So,
very nice.
As you can see, we've had a few new arrivals. The gecko skimitar is in, which looks quite nice, which you'll be taking back with you, I presume, to do a bit of a review on.
Yes, I'll do a review. It does look like a shopping trolley, armoured shopping trolley, with it's got the old bar armour all over it.
Yeah, it does. A nice bit of photo etch there for people.
Is that all in photo etch, is it?
It's definitely photo etch, I think, in the thing. I don't know if you get the option of styrene as well. Normally, I think you get one in the other, don't you? So if you do want to, obviously, not tackle the photo etch, that'd be an handful, really. You'll have to have a look. I don't know. I've not looked in it, so.
Yeah. Well, I was to say, I will bring one back at the weekend, and obviously we'll do a couple of reviews because that one's been anticipated for a while now, isn't it? So we will crop on with that one, and so that's a nice one. The other one is obviously the Daimler's in.
The sawn-off.
The sawn-off Daimler.
The sawn-off Daimler. It's like the hot rod version. Let's strip it back. No mud guards, no turret.
Yeah. No, nothing. It's literally
stick a brain gun out the top of it. That'll do.
Yeah, fantastic. But anyway, so really interesting, different, definitely. So it's nice to see that one's out with Gecko doing things like that. So that one's up as well, and is out. We've obviously got the which is one is an early production Stug.
Stug 4, this one. So it's got the extra wheel.
Very nice. Has it got like some type of suspension thing in? Just looking at this little bit here.
I would have thought so. So you've got workable tracks and suspension.
Yeah, it looks like it's pin tracks as well. So, so that looks actually quite a nice little upgrade on top of that one again. So very nice indeed. And again, really nice. It's not massively breaking the bank either. It just being 44 quid.
It's not an interior kit, is it? No. I mean, I think there's 2 options, and to be honest with you, I was talking to Gary. We get their Highfield off. It's like the interior kits. They're all right, but people do they really want that commitment? We've been through this conversation loads of times, haven't we? It's a big old parts lot
like
to
we were
get
saying,
through.
mine's here, literally, it's just there. And it's that thing when you're going to commit into it. I think you're a certain type of modeler, because like with me, I like the engineering side of it. It's quite good to be able to see it. And for somebody who's not into armor, if you build a full interior tank, I think you get a better appreciation of the amount of stuff that's inside a tank. From the outside, you just think it looks like a metal box going round, but how much is physically crammed into them? So from a modelling point of view, when I did that King Tiger, it was one of those where suddenly I got a real appreciation of everything that goes into tanks and tank crews, and the bits where they shove things in every possible little crevice and corner, to make room in there. But as you said, the painting, the weathering, it is a large commitment. If you're into doing your full interior stuff, I tip my hat. And again, it's how do you display it?
Yeah, that's always going to be the thing. How do you display it? Because half of it's covered up, and then you've spent so much time and effort. I mean, we were on about obviously our little vlog yesterday. When you did the review on the B25, there's a lot of interior for that old kit.
Yes.
That obviously when you button it back up, you're not going to see it.
No.
So there is that argument. He's like, well, it's there.
Yes. So I sort of did mine like this. So it's.
Well, that's torsion bars up, isn't it?
Sorry?
That is torsion bars up.
Yeah, you've got everything in it. It literally has got absolutely everything in that one. And again, it was one of those, but if you remember doing it as a video build, it's not a quick one. I think it was a 15-parter or something, because there's so much that goes into it. But again, if you're into bang for your buck, full interior, you've got a lot of work in front of you. So
I mean, that's the Tackham kit, isn't it? And at least with Riffield, they do both versions. So you have got the option of the interior, or like you say, just a standalone sort of curbside one, if you want to call it, without all the things inside. So
if I remember rightly, it is the gift that keeps giving. But again, it's one of those where, don't get me wrong, it was absolutely fantastic and I loved it and it was great, but I wasn't in a rush to do another one. It wasn't. Sometimes you build models, don't you? And you think to yourself, do you know what? I love this particular genre. I'm into this. No, because again, I've done it. I think it's fantastic. It's amazing. It's brilliant, engineering wise from a kit point of view, having it all crammed in here, it does all fit and it did go together okay. But you are on another level for painting and weathering and working it out how you're going to get it to paint and weather in the most simplest form. And I just worked out that it doesn't really. You might as well just paint them all singly and start slotting it all in and then touch up afterwards. But really, really nice. But again, something like that's got workable tracks. So that way there are sometimes you obviously get link and length and stuff like that, which speed up the process. But at least it's straight out of the box. And hopefully being pinned and that, it's nice that you don't have to go down the aftermarket and spend another, some companies, a lot of money on aftermarket tracks. So
I mean, let's be honest, you've done a few reviews on Riffield and they are fab kits. I've not built one yet. It's something I'm going to have to actually get round to doing at some point, because they do some good, interesting stuff. You built the old MRAP, haven't you? It's not in here, it's actually in the cabinet outside. And that, I mean, again, that was a complicated build for you. Remember, that is full on as it is, from the factory kind of thing. I wish they'd do a bit of a simpler version of it. How they've got that one you built. It'd be nice to actually do a simplified version with less parts, to get to the same sort of level, I suppose, or near enough. It's a bit like Tackham now do the Blitz kits, don't they, with the less parts, but they try and keep the same detail, but it's easier to build. Which I can see why they've done it.
Which is again, it's nice to have that. Like we often speak about mini art. Mini art tend to do two flavours of the kits, don't they? They do a full-on, fully detailed like this, or you can just have it like that one there, which is just obviously being the shell of it. And I think that is a really nice way of doing it, because if you obviously you've got the cost, obviously, but also if you're not into it, you've just wasted your money. Because you're not going to, use it and put it all in there. And I remember, wasn't it Tammy used to do, was it the Bradley? They did it in two versions, but they did it as an upgrade kit for it. So you could put the interior into the Bradley.
Was it Meng or Meng? Meng's done it.
Was it Meng? One of them, you could have it as a separate add-on that you put it into it. I think it might have been Meng, you might be right.
I think it's Meng did it, because they're another one who's kind of thinking with the interior side of it. They don't really bother anymore, do they? I think, for sort of like say tanks and probably armoured fighting vehicles, a part interior, not a bad idea, because then you can have the hatches open. There's something to see. But I think with what you've got there, it's half of it you're just never going to see. Even if you've got the hatches open, you've really got to either have a clear sort of hull, I suppose, and turret and stuff, which I don't really like. I had it with the Lancaster front end. You've got a clear half, which you can see you can mask. You can paint it and then just mask off and leave clear bits. I've seen that done before, and it doesn't look too bad. But I don't know. It's just not, like I say, it's not my bag.
No, that's it. But very nice. Anyway, getting back on track, that one is up. So if you're into your Stugs, and again, you've got Lincoln length tracks, you've got workable tracks. It looks like workable suspension in that kit as well. That's another nice touch.
So that's a Stug 4, like I say, not Stug 3. So that's based on the Panzer 4 chassis, not the Panzer 3. So it's the bigger brother, if you want to call it.
Very nice. Unfortunately, we're out of stock of Tammy Challies. So
we will gain some more of them in actually that little 48 Chalet. Probably worth a look for a review at some point.
Yes. Very nice as well. And obviously we've got the Flycatchers, as I said before. Obviously we've got the Boba Fett. And obviously with the Razor Quest as well. So we've got those ships in. And obviously this one, which you'll have to bring it in when we come back next week to show. Because
I'll show
completed yours.
I'm going to do my vlog anyway. I'll do a vlog and I'll show it on my vlog and stuff like that. So I've just about finished it. I've literally got one probe antenna, what you want to call it, Pito, I don't know, the big one that hangs out the front. Is that one got it on the nose?
Down here. Yeah. The one down the
that
bottom
one.
there.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I've just got that to on because I couldn't put it on until I'd built the or painted the frame,
Yeah.
The dolly it goes on, which I did yesterday. So it's now mounted up and actually it's come out all right, quite pleased with it. Gem Freeze on top, Tamiya for the black work because I had it really, and it's nice.
It does it. I've seen it. It looks fantastic.
It's a
really
good
nice
kit, and it's big enough that you can display it without the rest of the,
the rest of
it.
So if people who don't know, this is obviously just the front end section. So it basically goes back to the wing root. So you've got me and Matt say the important bits, but clearly everybody in the back is as well. But you know what I mean? You've got all the detaily bits at
business
the front end.
The business
end. Yeah, the business end. So obviously, your front turret looks absolutely fantastic, but you've got the bombardiers area. Obviously, you've got the pilot, the engineer, and the wireless, and obviously would be radar operator as well down in there. So, you've got those sections from it. You don't get the bomb bay doors, do you?
No, you don't.
So you always see it in
but
the
then
picture.
you won't be able to connect it to the dolly because the dolly.
That's it. Because the dolly fits in the bomb bay, doesn't it, for displaying it, which is quite nice. But I think it's that perfect compromise. If you've ever wanted to do a big scale Lancaster, but obviously one, you got the cost of it. Secondly, where you're going to put it. I think really that it was a very stroke of genius to do it. Not that we haven't been talking about it for years. So clearly somebody may have been listening. I very much doubt it. But we've been saying for years it would be nice to do a 30-second fleet of bombers, the B-24, the B-25, B-17s, just the nose sections like that. And, as you say, I've heard various rumours that there is other stuff coming out, like the B-17 is going to be the same.
I'd tell you what, if the B-17 came out, I'd do that. I would. Yeah. Now I've done that one. If it was the same design and everything else, I'd definitely do a B-17. Because the nose arts of the B-17s are just amazing anyway, aren't they? That's it. And obviously the colour, the olive drab, or you could do it bare metal or whatever you want to do it in. There's going to be loads of it. I'm really, really, really surprised 8K's not done it because they've already got the kits ready. I don't know why they haven't. And they've got the F and the G now as well, so they've got both versions.
Yes.
Don't know. I can't understand why they've not released them, if I'm honest. Because I'm sure they'd be a good seller.
Absolutely. Well, I've heard various rumours, especially a lot last year, that we were going to see the B-17 in the future. I've had nothing official to back that up, but it was just from the rumour mill going round about it. And it makes sense because I think it'll be, a really nice one. And as I say, HK's got the kits, so they've got it all there, and including the B-25 as well. So, they can do those 3, 4 of the family. And also there was a rumour going around about that being with the upgraded to like the other versions, for like the tall boy version and stuff like that as well. So, again, they're all there. It'd be really nice to see them. But if you are literally in that situation where the hell are you going to put it? Because we often talk about being a dining true at the top model, table model, where you're going to put it. But yours is absolutely fantastic. About that big, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah, it's big
So,
enough.
but big enough,
Yeah,
really nice, good chunk.
yeah,
So, but again, you've beautifully painted it, and with the weather in and the bits and pieces, it looks really, really nice. So you can put just as much in just to the front end. So,
yeah. And I've left my canopy loose. Really, it should be attached because there's gaps where it shouldn't have. But I'm thinking you can just, like I said to you this morning, we had a conversation didn't before we came on. I
mm,
said I've left the actual glass, part loose, so you can just have a look inside. You can just lift it off and
mm-hmm.
actually see the interior. I mean, it is a pretty greenhouse thing anyway, so
Yeah,
you can see a lot of it. But yeah, I was undecided, to be honest, whether I was going to like actually permanently stick it or leave it off. But I think I'm going to leave it as a loose fit. So if anybody want a nosy in it,
yeah, that's
they
it. You
can.
can do,
And then
which
I'll
is
forget
nice.
one day, take it out and drop the clear
It'll
part, crack
fall
it
off
probably.
or scratch it to bits, isn't it?
I
Which is
might
the
tack it on
usual.
with a bit of white tack or something so I don't forget.
But
Yeah,
yeah, anyway, we've got all the other stuff we spoke about last week, so we don't really need to go over that again.
no,
Those are
no.
all down in there as well. Obviously, we've still got the 25% sale going on.
Yeah, that's
Again,
still the
it's
same
going.
for
So
now.
when it
Like I
goes, it'll
said.
be removed from here. So that one needs to go. So this is the last of it. It's really thinning out now. So if you do want to grab anything, literally grab it now before it goes. And it is 25% off the retail price off of everything in here as well. So
Yeah,
some very nice bits and pieces down in there. So we've got a lot of dragon stuff like that in there. The cars. So yes, that's all going along very nicely at the moment.
yeah.
We've got the special offers area.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to change this, unfortunately. I do apologise. We was going to change it for this weekend, but unfortunately, my colleague has
Yeah,
been off
well,
this
just
week.
to
So
put people in the thing, Andy got a phone call Thursday last week, wasn't it? Was it
yeah,
Thursday or
literally
Friday?
Thursday. Yeah, it was
Thursday,
Thursday.
saying he's got to go into hospital because he's had his treatment. So,
Yeah,
and it was literally out of the blue. So he scooted and went straight
yeah,
away. So, and that's why he is back home now.
yes,
But he did have a bit of a stay in hospital over a few days. So,
yeah,
that's where it is. But he's doing all right. The operation went well.
yes.
He's a new man.
Yeah, yeah, it's a new person.
He's a new person now. So,
No, he's
but yeah,
fine. I spoke to him
he's
this
doing
morning
well.
actually, and he's back home. He's glad to be home because it's never
Mm,
fun to be in hospital, is it, for a few days at the
yeah.
best of times? And yeah, it's good to be back. So he'll be back next week.
Yes,
Back
definitely.
on, and we'll go through that and sort it and freshen it back up again. So yes,
Very nice indeed. But again, you can grab the last of these before they do get refreshed. So if you are thinking about any of these, grab them speedily. Because as I say, they will be changed out in various bits and pieces and freshened up down in there as
yeah,
well.
yeah, 100%. So, oh,
Yeah,
good. Sorry, go on, carry on. Were you going to say?
I was going to go to the varnishes and primers and things we were talking about earlier because now we've got the AK Gen 3s
We've got Gen 3 varnishes in.
varnishes all in, which we were talking before we came on air saying about, in theory, they should work just as well as the Tamiya stuff. If you're going to put a little bit of alcohol thinners into it, like X20A or something else like that, we're thinking it
Yeah,
probably would be the same. I'm going to get some when I'm up at the weekend and we'll have a play with those. But
yeah.
yeah, that should be a nice way of going with those.
Have you got your thingy there with you, your gauzy stuff?
I have, yes. Hold on.
It's not on. It's not on the site, but it will be by the time this comes up because I actually used some on the Lancaster front end, and it's first time I've used it.
Hmm.
And I find it to be a really nice product.
Yes.
To be honest, you just put it straight in your airbrush and spray it, no thinning, and it works.
Hmm.
It's really quite a decent product. So I'll definitely be doing it on a few more projects anyway. Because
shine
obviously,
enhancer, they call it, but
I've gone kind of down the acrylic route as much as I can. So Gen
yes.
3s and obviously I still use Vallejos or whatever else. But and I'm thinking, obviously I don't want to be getting into GX100 and stuff unless I really need to have a proper gloss coat. So I'm just having an experiment with clear coats and stuff. And that one, yeah, for Decklin over was brilliant. Really good for Decklin over. I don't know whether we could get an eye gloss finish out of it. I've never really thought of it, but
I used it, as I said, a few years ago now when I did the MiG-21.
yeah,
Which was in flight because that one was all done with acrylics. Normally, I tend to use extreme metals and things, but we used Vallejo with that. Their metal ones, and again because we were doing it purely acrylic, I used it and yeah, it worked for me. Deckled onto it again, no problem at all. So
yeah. Yeah, again, it's just one of them products we've not really thought about, but I wanted to give it a blast just to see. And I'm going to definitely use it on a few more products. So yeah, it worked well for me.
Hmm.
And I also have been using quite a bit of actually the Gen 3 primer, especially the black, because obviously been doing that little yak enter where I'm making a proper meal of that. You've got to, for
Yeah.
members, when it comes out, you've got to watch that because I'm making hard work of something that don't need to be. Just yeah, I admit it as well on the video.
Hmm.
But I've been using that, and it's one of them polyurethanes. And I know before, we obviously tried the Vallejo one, and you have to wait about 6 months for it to actually workable. That
Yeah.
stuff within what minimum 12 hours,
Hmm.
you can sand it. It's absolutely fine. It doesn't peel. Good
Hmm.
grip, good coverage. Again, I thinned it with their own thinner, so the Gen 3 thinner, which I presume X20A, or I'm just thinking Aqueous as well, is
Yeah, the
alcohol-based
aqueous
thinner,
thinner.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So I presume it would work with Aqueous. I've not tried it, but with their own thinners, brilliant.
Hmm.
I've had no issue with it whatsoever. Yeah, really nice product to use. And obviously they do the different colours as well, don't they? So they've got black, grey,
Hmm.
and primer red and sand, and so
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a back product because I know we've mentioned before, like arm is a bit less because the seam lines aren't so
Hmm.
prominent, are they? And that was always the bugbear with the polyurethane stuff on aircraft because obviously you've got seam lines to sand,
Yeah.
and that was the issue with it, weren't it?
Hmm.
But actually, I've used it on the little yak, and that's been absolutely fine. And I've sanded it, sanding sponges or sanding sticks, and yeah, not a problem at all. So
Cool.
it'd
Good.
be a nice product, especially if you can't use the smelly stuff, shall we say,
Yeah.
surfaces and things
Yeah.
like that. Again, it's another alternative for people who are,
Hmm.
not able to use the
Hmm.
lacquer-based products. So
Definitely. Nice.
yeah,
Good job. So anyway, there's a few bits and pieces obviously down in there, all back in stock as well. The other thing as
yeah.
well
The other
was,
clears are back in. I'm going to put them back in. We had an AK delivery of real colours, extreme
Mhm.
metals, and some the clear coats and some other bits and bobs. So they're going to be back in as well by the time this show goes out. So like the matte varnish, and I think is the Satin gloss varnish will be
gloss
back
one.
in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice. Good job. The other one is fine molds. Obviously, we had a big restock of fine molds recently as well. So we've got
yes.
some of the nice bits down in there. Obviously, the Phantoms are quite legendary. Some really nice ones down in there. So we've
Well,
got
that's a
Phantom.
newer version, isn't it? The D.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
even know if we've seen that in this country before, to be honest. I'm not
No.
100%, but yeah, the old. Isn't that a
Hmm.
Robin Olds one? Was he in a D?
Yes, I think he would have been. Yeah. Yeah. Do the Oldsmobile ones. So, but yeah, and obviously we've got the retirement scheme ones in there as well. And as I say, we've got the
Top
F14s back in
Gun.
as well. So obviously with Top Gun, you can now do the A version
Yeah,
for that one. Off to see that in about 6 hours. Just
there
saying.
you go. You excited?
Yeah, not going to deny.
Are you really? Are you really excited?
I am. I'm off to see it in the IMAX. Apparently, it's a 4D experience, so the seats all vibrate. And somebody chucks a bucket of water in your face every now and
Yeah,
again when you're
yeah.
at sea.
When you get chucked out your seat, when it sort of swings you
Yeah,
sideways and your
this is
face
it.
is.
Yeah, so when you eject in that, I expect to feel all of that clearly.
Yeah. Make sure you got your flight suit on.
This is it. Yeah, I'll go there, my aviators on and everything. That's
Your
it.
Get your G suit on. Oh
So,
dear.
but yeah, we're off to see that this afternoon. So yeah,
That's enough.
that'll be a good one for that.
You're late for you. And the little 109s actually as well. There's going to
Mm,
be fine molds is something out we are going to start stocking more of. So
yeah.
over the next sort of 12 months or however long, we'll be getting more of the more stuff
Hmm.
in because they are releasing as well. The which will get up on pre-order at some point is the Iranian F14 and an Iranian F4 Phantom
Hmm.
boxing.
Yeah,
So
be nice to get the old alley cat in, as it's known. Very nice indeed. So yes, and obviously the weapon sets as well, which I didn't know about. I know we sold out of one, but we'll get some more in anyway. But the Fine
yeah,
Molds weapon sets for the F4s is a brilliant idea. Very, very good.
yeah.
So yes, so we've got those in. Anywhere else on the site we need to talk about?
Just
Third
Gen 3s
gens?
really. Just
Yeah, so we got the
you
Gen
know the
3s, as we were saying there, all in now, doing really, really well. As I say, it's a new range for us. I put the photo up in last week's show. But yeah, really nice stuff. Again, I've been using it recently. I know Matt's been using it a lot. So again, what we've tried to do, obviously, as you probably know, I'm lacquer all the way. But again, we've been looking for a good alternative to lacquers, obviously acrylic ideally and things like that. So Gen 3s, it does fit the bill after we did lots of testing with it and playing with it. As I said, if you can stretch it out into alcohol based, so if you use alcohol thinners with it, like their own, or you can go down X28 or the Aquas lacquer thinners, it is mega. It's really good stuff. But like me and Matt have been saying, 'cause we've used it, you got to mix it really, really well. Make sure you go. And also, when you have mixed it in your colour cup, if you're one of these people who sprays and delays, as I call it, so you spray a bit, put it down, have a think, it will start to separate in your colour cup as well. So just make sure it's being mixed all the time. Otherwise, what will happen is that you end up with like dark colours at the top, light colours at the bottom. It will start to go. And again, that's the thing with acrylics more than obviously you get with lacquers. But once you know it and understand it, it just works. It's really, really good stuff.
Oh, I'm a proper fanboy of it now. I've used it quite a bit. Like I say, I painted the camo on the Lancaster front end. And really enjoyable experience. And I painted obviously the Land Rover was painted in it as well. And I know I painted like the Panzer one, like I said before, and I used, I think, Vallejo thinners and flow improvement. I made my life hard that I didn't need to, because I was technically using it. It did work, but it weren't overly happy, but it worked with it. But once you put your own thinners, their own thinners in it, which I've been doing, different.
Yeah,
again,
absolutely. And I must admit, I had the same trouble when I tried to use it originally. I was using like Vallejo airbrush thinners, acrylic, and we went back to being old school, where you had like tip dry and it was stop start and clog in and various things. And as soon as I then ramped it up and tried a little bit of lacquer thinners into it, it sprayed just like any other lacquer paint. You didn't have any problems. It's got great coverage. The colour's really nice as well, and it goes down really, really smooth. Then I tried it with a little bit of X28 in there, same basically results. So you don't have the smell problems and stuff. But again, for hand painting, it's brilliant as well. So,
it's great for hand painting as well. Yeah, you've got that. I mean, I would be more than comfortable painting a Luftwaffe model with it, which I never would say about acrylics. I don't think I'd be, even with Model A, because of getting in tight and everything like that, I won't be comfortable with it, I don't think. Not compared to a lacquer, but with that stuff, actually, I would. And you can actually over thin it as well, which is another thing with acrylics I've found in the past, is they're a bit Goldilocks, aren't they? They need to be the right consistency, or they separate, or they're too thick or whatever. This is actually very forgiving for an acrylic as well. So I presume it's because it's alcohol, you're using alcohol-based thinners. You treat it a bit like Tamiya in a little way.
Yeah.
I know that's a synthetic acrylic, but you can do the same thing. It's very well pigmented.
Yeah,
pigmentation.
When people have asked me about it, they've said about it, and I've often said, if you're mixing it with an alcohol-based thinner like X28 or their own or Aqueous, it sprays and behaves just like Tamiya, the XF series. It's got that type of effect, so you can do that sort of 50-50 mix with it, sort of lower air pressures, nice and close, and it goes down really nice and smooth. You have no problem with it at all. So again, it's one of those things. It's a new product, and it's understanding it.
Talking of air pressures, I was on back to you yesterday. I was watching your old Seahawk video for the 48th one.
Yes, gosh,
when you painted it, you need to be 20 to 25 psi.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow, how things have changed. It was just because you were using Model Air on it as well, weren't you?
Yeah.
Which does actually, to be honest, needs a bit of an higher air pressure than obviously the lacquers, but yeah. Wow,
and that was the days, weren't there? When it was. I must admit, I've looked back at a few of them recently, and to be honest, the Jaguar, which we're doing at the moment, who's here, is, again, that's one of the early videos. It's 18 years ago, and again, it's that particular one. We're spraying a lot of just either Tamiya, or we're using extra acrylics and stuff. And these are just paints that just used to fight you. So the way I used to get around it, because I always used a 0.2 needle. So it's not like I'm using like a 0.6 or a 4. It's quite small, up the air pressure, just to keep that flow. And that old one I had, it was an old Ripmax, didn't even have a gauge on it.
Right.
So it literally was this thing where you had an on and it just filled up the tank and just went. And when it was overpressurized, it had a release valve. And that's how it kept its pressure. And that thing, I have no idea what pressures it used to do, because it never had a thing on it. But I imagine it's probably high 20s. And it was the way I did, but you can hear it. That's the thing on the videos. Even if it was nothing like the audio we have today, but you can hear it blasting. And if you look at dust and bits on your mat, you see them flying out the way. So it just shows how much air pressure I used to use for it. And again, in those days, because it was a lot of commission work, it was that thing where nowadays I might put down 2 or 3 coats and build it up.
You
Nice
wanted
thin coats. This is one and done. So
Yeah.
it's like thick paint, not a lot of thinners in there, blast it on, and then let it just dry on and bake on. And say you used to have a drying cabinet and it was to go in there and get cooked for 2 hours and you could carry on with it. It was just one of those situations where you look back and you think, yes, not like that anymore. That's why those videos I think are quite interesting to a lot of people. They're
they definitely are. I quite enjoyed it, to be honest. I quite enjoyed the whole series because of the kit you were building as well. It was not the easiest.
No,
and especially with that seam underneath.
Yeah,
how you dealt with that was very good. I mean, you deal with it different now. You know what I mean? It's one of them as well. That's like I know you ended up done a seal because obviously did the Kitty Hawk one, didn't you? The big one, so it's not something you want to revisit. But it'd be nice to go back and then redo it in lacquers and actually, how you deal with that bottom seam nowadays and stuff like that. You know, but yeah, interesting series.
Anyway,
sorry, mate. I'm thinking just before we go to pre-orders, I think we should obviously talk about Kinetics.
Oh, the F-16.
The F-16A, which is obviously a revisit from their first kit, isn't it? Or one of their second kit, isn't it? Because the first kit was the F-84.
Yes.
So it's the second kit that they did. So you could talk about this because you know more about F-16s than I do.
Again, it was a bit left field. I wasn't expecting it. Again, this is the old version, but it's had what we call the MLU, which is the midlife upgrade, which all the F-16s got. So it's basically the old A version of it, but it's had the upgrade to it. So this is what we say Norwegian, Danish,
Dutch, Belgium
versions. So they're all of those ones, if you imagine.
Turkish, Greek. I think everybody, like a lot of NATO use it.
A lot of NATO ones had it. So again, it's apparently brand new tooling. So it's not just an upgrade of their old one, because they did do it. They have done it. So, but apparently this is the new gold standard ones of them. So you might remember the Hornet was it. Is to say that a few of the latest ones have been done that way. It's the gold series. Apparently it's supposed to be really, really nice, incredibly accurate, and it's due out any minute as well. So so for people who don't know, there's quite strong changes. It's not like it's a subtle change. It's quite, the tailplanes are completely different on those versions, and the tails are, and various bits and pieces. So there's quite a lot of differences. It's not like you could fudge it, because anybody who knows an F-16 will spot the difference easy between those and, say, the CJ versions, like the Block 40s and 50s and 60s and stuff like that. So, but yeah, really nice to see it. Again, for this part of the world, if you're in Europe, it's quite underrated. I think Hasegawa did a version used to be able to shoehorn into doing it, and then obviously Kinetic's old version of it.
Was Academy's 48 one an early one? I think it was, wasn't it? I don't know, to be honest. Now, was that a C?
I got a feeling that was a C, but I could be wrong.
Hasegawa's, like you say, was the only other one. I built the Italeri one. Italeri did an A because I did the Dutch one, but obviously that's an old kit, and
that's a very old kit.
It's one of my first kits coming back when I joined Flory family, to be honest, because I did the Dutch one with the lady on the tail. The
lady on the tail, yeah.
Got some good decal schemes with that. But I think, that. Yeah, that's
but again, what this opens up is, talking about tail art and decals and stuff, is that European ones for the Tiger meets, they always get fully done. So that's a nice one for that. There'll be some very interesting schemes hopefully coming out for that. And again, I think it's one of those, we often talk about, it's a Spitfire, it's a 109, it's an F-16. But at least it's a good F-16 to do, because we could do with a nice bang up-to-date type one, because I haven't built their old version of it, but I know people who have, and they've said it's a bit of a handful to go together.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So hopefully this new standard, say I've got one of the Harriers down in there as well. So, as you say, hopefully very nice. As I say,
looking forward to it. As soon as obviously we get some pricing. As soon as we get some pricing, we'll get it up on a pre-order. Yeah, definitely. I think it'll be nice. A few things have been released. I think the Sterling's out from Italy that we know about. That'll be coming in soon. The Armour Hobbies High 8A, is it?
Yes, the
that's
High
out,
8A.
Isn't it? Rumour is October for the Hurricane.
Right, okay. That'd be nice.
So not that long. We're in June now.
This is the Armour Hobbies 148 scale Hurricane Mark II-C, which we've been expecting. So they did say, and if they don't want to hold them to their word, but clearly we will. But they did say once the High 8 was done, it would follow. So does sound about right. So that's good.
Yeah.
And I will build that because I'm looking forward to doing that. I know I've
Yeah.
just done a Hurricane recently, the giant 24th scale one, but I think that'll be a really nice one to do. As say, the last time I did a 48 scale Hurricane was the old Airfix Smart one.
So what about the Revell one?
Well, this is it. So that's another Mark 2C in 32nd. Do I just have a family then? Go from 72nd right the way up to,
Oh, yeah.
24th. Do them all in the same markings.
You've done the little armour one, haven't you?
Yeah. I've got the little Armour Hobby one over there, 72nd, which is a beautiful kit,
That's
as
a
I
good
say.
kit.
So it does make you wonder.
It is after all that, though, isn't it? After not having any Hurricanes for how long, or only Mark 1s.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to get a glut of Mark 2s, which is not a bad thing, is it?
It's not a bad thing. Like, it's one of our things we talk about a lot on the shows, isn't it? Is that underrated kits in the hobby. And we've often said for years the Hurricane Mark 2, because it's just none of them around. Nobody's ever really gone near it. And it's like, it's such an important aircraft for what it did in World War II.
Yeah.
But again, it's not the glamorous one. So, but again, at least it's getting some love now, which is good. Definitely.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So look forward to that. So, yeah, if you want to just nip over quickly to pre-orders. So, this is the main one. Phil mentioned it on Friday, but we'll mention it again because it's going to be a really, really, really short pre-order. But Takam are releasing a 1/16th Jeep, even though they can't call it a Jeep.
No, because of licensing. They're not paying the licensing, so they call it a
quarter-ton
utility truck.
Which actually isn't a bad price.
No.
At all, I don't think, for that. It's not going to be small, but it's not going to be big either.
1/16th scale, so it is a large lump. This isn't a tiny thing, it's 1/16th. So...
I'll say, but not overly big either. It's not going to be sort of... Can't get it in a cabinet, can you? It's going to be, it's going to be decent size anyway. You get a driver with it. So if you want one, some people already put the name down, but obviously more, if they haven't seen Friday's show and they watch this show, then get your name down as quick as possible, because probably by Monday, Tuesday next week at the latest, I'm going to need to put in, what we need.
Yeah, because as I said on Friday, it's only a short one.
Just while my brain's in gear and while I'm working, we will be putting a pre-order up next week as well for the 1/16th scale Sherman tank. As well, because we're going to get some of them. We've got somebody we can get some off if anybody wants any. We won't probably stock them and shelve them, but we'll put it up, and then if anybody wants one. So that's that one that Andy's Hobby Headquarters is releasing, but we can go over here, which I think is tooled by Takam anyway. So we'll get that up as well. And that's actually, for what it is actually quite cheap. Considering the size of it, it's not a bad price at all. So
if you're into your bigger scales, you're in luck at the moment. We've got all of those coming out. The pre-orders, obviously the other ones in here pretty much as standard. So if you want to grab any of these ones down in here, I think we've got around with those.
Just while we're on pre-orders as well, what needs to be put up is the Infinity Models Vampires.
Yeah.
The 1/32nd one. So there's a FB5, is it? And the other one, I can't remember what the other one was, or 3, I think, or something. And then the Zukimura releasing a new Phantom, which is going to be the G into the Wild Weasel.
Which is the Wild Weasel in the Hill scheme.
Yeah.
Again, really nice. The only other option for that, we spoke about this the other day, is the 48 scale Hasegawa one. For a proper kit of it. So again, if you're into your Phantoms, that'll be nice for your little family, because nice kit. And again, we've seen the build-ups of them and all the rest of it. It was one of the shows recently, and that looked very nice indeed. So
so they'll be up next week, but obviously next Wednesday's show we'll talk about them, because they will be up and available for pre-order if you want to get your name down, if any of the members do. So that's
very nice. Good job. Right, questions. Graham says, hello team, have you ever looked at the Italeri F104 in 1/32nd? What do you think of the kit? Seen it. It's been out a while now. There's a few different flavours of it. You get the single seat, the 2-seat, and all the rest of it. From what I can remember, I didn't do a review of it. I don't know why, but we never got around to doing that one. Again, it's one of those. It's typical Italeri of the new generation, shall we say. So if you think about, obviously, the Tornado and the other bigger kits that they've recently done, it's basically on the same sort of par as that. So again, it's not fully detailed, but you've got some nice details in there. And wasn't it that kit that won Telford a few years ago, 2018, last time we were there? I think
Can't
it
remember that
was
far back.
Best in Show. Somebody had completely took it apart and deconstructed it and scratch built all the details into it as well from that kit.
I don't know.
So
There's a lot you can get for it now. I mean, because
Mm.
the G was the original one, then they've done a C, they've done the 2-seat one, and
yeah,
it's long and thin, isn't it?
it is. It'll fit on your shelf because you don't have very big wings.
No, they're wide wing. They've got
No.
quite a long fuselage. But
Yes.
yeah, I mean, a lot of countries have used them as well over the years, haven't they? So
Yes.
I presume there's a lot of options out there if you look after market. But yeah, I don't know. We've not really. I think we stopped the original one, and then we're not really bothered after that. Have we really?
No. To be honest, I had it here for quite a while,
Yeah.
but I never got around to doing a review for it, and then it went. So again, it's one of those. It's a little bit nichey, but definitely, if you're into your big 30-second scale stuff, let's face it. Your other option is the old Hasegawa one, which it's
We're not knocking old kits because obviously we've come round to old kits now.
This is
but
what we're doing
I
now.
presume that the Hasegawa one was probably a lot cheaper than the Italeri one. But I think it's raised panel lines instead of recessed, and you pay money, you take choice, don't you? One of them.
And again, I think that's an old 80s kit, so again, you've got 80s details, so which is very nice because clearly it's what we're working on at the moment. So
we're going to be working on 70s kits, so not the 80s ones.
Just to mention it as well, whilst we were on this, while I remember, don't forget there will be a review as well up with this today of the B29 48 scale 1977 B29 Super Fortress. Because I've had to do it because I'm taking it up on Friday to Matt's to give to Nathan.
Vintage.
For his vintage kit. So you can see that great review will be up when you see this video as well.
It's got good detail, hasn't it?
It is. It's fantastic. It's not quite as detailed, I don't think, as your B25 you'll bring it up for you. But again, it's proper there. It's got it all there. You've got lots of long fuselages. The wings are like that with it on it. So
it's a drain pipe with wings.
It is literally a drain pipe with wings. Yes.
Are you going to do the review on the B24 then?
Yeah. I'll do that tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
So I'll get that up. That'll be up this week as well. So you're going to get the B25, the B24, and the B29 this week as reviews. The old monogram ones, because that one's going back up to Matt as well when he tackles that one. Now he's into bombers.
Let me do my B25 first, and then.
I remember many years ago you did mention about doing the Hobby Boss 30-second one.
Yeah, I know.
No.
I tell you what, if they did a front end.
Yes, absolutely.
Again, because the B24s had nice nose arts and stuff, didn't they? Nose arts
and details, yeah, absolutely. The assembly ships who said before for it would be fantastic.
And same with the A26, because they did the 30-second A26 as well, don't they? The Invaders. And again, if they just did the nose, the front, the business end where all the fancy artwork was, because that's what you want, the pin-ups, don't you? You want the bright bits.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you do. Nice, colourful ones.
There'd be a lovely selection in the cabinet then of the,
the front
World War II sort of pin-ups, really, wouldn't it?
It would be very nice indeed. So hint to the manufacturers. Hope you're listening.
Yep.
All right. Paul says, "Hi guys, getting back into modelling, and I've only done aircraft so far. I really want to build the Tamiya 112 scale Caterham Super 7 BDR Master Coachworks kit. I think I've seen this in model shops a few years ago before I turned back to the hobby. Do you think it will become available in the UK in the next few years? I've seen them on eBay, but they seem to be direct from Japan." Well, we had them in a few years ago, didn't we? Because we had them on a special.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago now. It's probably like 5 years ago now. But we did get a few in and we had them on special, didn't we? And again, like we've said, the trouble with these older big kits like this, like we said before, if it's out and you've ever fancied it, buy it. Even if it sits in your stash, because they usually are very short-lived releases, and each time they release, the price goes up, and because of that, the second-hand price goes with it. Now, I'm not going to tell everyone to go out and buy stashes of kits, because I think that's a false economy as well. But certain kits like that, if it is your genre, if you've got an itch to scratch with it, sometimes it's one of those which, if you see it, I just grab it, because otherwise you're going to be in the situation you are now. Like we were saying before we came on air, we couldn't get them. until it becomes a release. The only way we could possibly do it is to get a carton, as we used to do for special releases direct from Japan, but that would be such a niche kit. We probably couldn't get enough people on board to do.
I don't think we could get it even that, because it's only a limited run when they do them.
Yeah.
It's not available all the time. So when that came out a few years ago, I don't think we'll see that again. Could be another 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might be less, but obviously they've only just rebought out the big Porsches back out. Remember the Martini Porsche and the Jägermeister Porsches? Well, they haven't been released for decades, I think.
Yeah.
I think if you look on Scalemates, you will see the timeline of when the bigger kits have been released, because obviously they're not always in the catalogue, and when they do come, they're very sporadic and they're limited. So you have to get that run of one, or else again you're waiting, or you're on the second-hand market. And I think with that Lotus, that big Lotus, I think you really are just second-hand only at the minute, or getting one out of Japan, because I don't think we could get one at all.
I think personally, your best bet is to probably get out of Japan. And have it sent, because again you might get lucky on eBay one day, somebody's offloading one and doesn't realise, but again I think sometimes just remember, if you're bringing it out of Japan, just watch the VAT, because obviously with those prices of kits you could be getting a bill for 100 odd quid in custom charges when that arrives on.
I presume you've had to scoot around the internet and looked at our competitors, if any of them have got any, because people, it's one of them where it's going to be in more smaller shops, isn't it? The smaller shops that are not really an online presence, I suppose. I know it's a daft thing to say, but it might be worth looking through and digging out said shops.
Direct shop,
and ringing up and saying, "Do you have one of these in?" You never know. You might
fall Hartley.
Yeah, basically it is a bit like that. But if it's something you really want,
people have to be a certain age to get that joke.
Yeah, I know. They had that new one out, didn't they, with that ravey song?
Was it? I've seen that. Which was that?
Yeah, they did an updated version of the J.R. Hartley, and it was like DJ who made a record. And I don't know why he'd lost his own record, but his daughter found it and all this, and they made this song up for it in the play. It's actually quite a decent tune if you're into your electronic dance music. You'd have to Google it.
Well, that's it. I have a listen. I tell you what, wasn't it an R186 signal box he was after? Does that sound really sad? But my mind has locked onto that somehow. It was an R186 signal box, 00, and it was by J.R. Hartley's looking for that.
Well,
and obviously,
that's not the fishing one.
Yeah, but that's the other one, wasn't it? He was after a signal box. But yeah, it was fishing by J.R. Hartley, and the other one he was after a signal box.
Oh right, no, I remember the J.R. because that was fishing, weren't it?
Yeah.
I can, now you've said it, I can remember that. But yeah, there was a modern version a good few years ago of like this dance song that this DJ had done or whatever, and his daughter had found it or managed to, I don't know, whatever, in a record shop or something. I can't remember. But yeah, it's Yellow Pages.
The Yellow Pages, those were the days. And your Thompson local. Right, okay, going back on track. Matthew says, hello, gents. Quick question. I'm looking for the best F18 or F818, if you want to be totally correct, in 1/72 scale, please. Both the Legacy and the E and F types. Thanks again in advance. Have a great holiday. So really we were saying Academy, I think, is probably the best way, because if you go down the Atari route, we're probably thinking maybe the old Esky kits for the Legacy
and the early ones, aren't they?
And the early ones are the old prototypes as well, which aren't really current to what the new or modern Super Bugs are. I think they are quite recent releases, all of those kits.
And Hasegawa do a load of second Hornets, which again, if you can get them, they're all right. They're not, I wouldn't say the Academy, but they're old because they are getting on a bit, aren't they, in age? Well, they're all recessed, and it's typical of the time. But I tell you what, they're not cheap. To say how old them kits are, when you look at the price of them Hasegawa Hornets, they're very expensive, I think, for what they are. I think, you're better off with the Academy ones if you can get them, I think. I'd say that. I can't think of anybody else who does some second Hornets that are worth mentioning.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's lots of the old types, but they're, like we said, the Eskies of this world and various things. Airfix, I think, did a version of the old A-type and all these different ones. But again, for modern versions, like a modern Charlie or an Echo Foxtrot and stuff, I don't know if anyone does the Growler yet in 72nd, but...
I think it's Hasegawa's is the only one who would do a Growler in 72nd. I could be wrong, but It's a bit odd that, isn't it? For how commonly used a Hornet is an F-18 or an FA-18 or
Yeah.
whatever. It's very underrepresented in 72nd.
Because I think Revell do a 72nd Hornet as well, don't they?
Yeah, but I don't know how old that is or whose it is. I don't know if that's a
No.
Reebok, somebody else's. Again, scale mates or whatever. Just some research. I would stick with the Academy one, I think.
Yeah, I think Academy all the way with those. I think you won't be disappointed with those.
No.
Last up, we've got one from John. He was saying, "Can you tell me the difference between AK real color paints and the AK third gen paints, please?"
Yeah.
Alcohol.
One's in a glass bottle and one's in a plastic proper bottle.
Alcohol, that's the difference, I tell you. The dropper one is non-flammable, a true acrylic, technically, out of the bottle. But obviously the AK real color one, that one is a alcohol based. The usual way you can tell if it's got a flammable symbol on it. So obviously the glass bottle ones, the real colors are alcohol in there and they're thinner. So
It's
obviously these ones you can hand paint easily with these because it's like a proper acrylic. But these ones, hand painting these is very similar to hand painting Tamiya. You know, so
they both work well with each other though, and the colours, like we've said, because it's the same manufacturer, the colours are pretty much spot on to
close,
each.
Yeah, and you can mix them as well. I tried a bit of a mix with one. I added a bit of to real colours. I added a little bit of the third gens as well, just to see. No problem at all.
Right, okay, so you can tint it with that, can you?
I assume so. Yeah, I just only one of my little tests I did.
I know,
cut and tried it
because it's like when you thin them, your alcohol based thinner in your Gen 3s, you can actually use, like you've said, you've just put, but you can put Tamiya in it as well. As long as you're not contaminated your Tamiya before, because I can't know what's got what in them anymore.
Yeah.
But if you've got your proper unthinned XF range, this is not the LP range, the XFs or the Xs, then you can tint them with them as well. But again, if you're all new to this, like we've said, just stick with their own thinners.
Yeah.
And their own paint brand, if that makes sense. If you're using Gen 3s and you're brand new to painting, just stick with Gen 3s. Don't, if you're going to do some experimenting, do it in a little mixing cup away from airbrushes and anything else. So if it does turn to glue, you've not got hours and hours of stripping and cleaning airbrushes, which we were saying earlier, weren't we, about stripping and cleaning airbrushes and why
never do it.
Don't do it, people. You don't need to strip it. Every time you use an airbrush, just blow it through, leave it. It's fine. Don't need to strip it and clean it unless there's a problem. Don't fix it.
Yeah, don't fix it.
Don't create problems that you don't want to create.
Then try and fix it. But if it's not fixed, there's nothing wrong with it. Don't touch it. Just leave it alone.
Yeah, it's not broke. Don't fix it. So this stripping airbrushes down to clean them every time you've used it is a don't bother. It's not like we were saying. It's not like you go out on a car journey, is it? Then come back and service your car.
No, that's it. Yeah,
strip your car down, service it, put it back together again because you've just been down to the shop. So think about it like that. I mean, they are really robust airbrushes and a lot more robust than I think people give credit for. And the thing is, the more you pull needles out, the more you've got a chance of bending them or stripping threads when you're taking the nozzles off if they've got a screw nozzle and just little things. So anyway. Different show, different conversation we can have for one of our vlogs. Put it on the list.
Yeah, the list. I'll do that.
The list that came.
I'll put it on the list. It is definitely lots of talking points in the shows. Anyway, don't forget it is obviously the Queen's Jubilee this weekend. So obviously Matt is closing the store
in about
10 minutes.
3 hours, basically.
3 hours. Fair enough. And obviously it won't be reopening until Monday. So if you are placing any orders and things like that, there'll be no movement because, to be honest, the postal system's not working either. So we couldn't send it if we wanted to. And obviously that goes same with me as well on the flooring model side. Obviously nothing to be sent out until Monday on that one. Obviously Friday I'm travelling up with Matt. There will be another review. Got the V24 coming up tomorrow. And if I can, I'll get the next part of the Jaguar will be up with you obviously on Monday. So, but as I say, I'm not going to be around Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So
you're going to do a little vlog down here visiting the shop, aren't you?
Yes, I will. What I'll do is obviously we can incorporate into everywhere is I'll take one of the cameras with me as well and we'll go around the store and do a vlog and the various bits and pieces, a behind the scenes special.
Hey, now you can walk around without like tripping over anything because it's all up on, it's tidy.
On racks.
You'll be amazed how tidy it is.
You can see the floor again.
You can, literally, yeah. I've had to sweep up, keep sweeping.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're wishing you all a very happy bank holiday stroke Jubilee
Yes.
weekend. So
Yes.
have a pleasant one, everybody. And thank you to the Queen for her service over the last
Happy
70
anniversary,
years.
Mark.
Yes, happy anniversary, Mom. If you want the OBR, we'll accept it. Because I'm cheap and I'll accept anything.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Do they do an award for modelling?
I don't know, services to the
Services to the
empire, in
Crown.
it. Is it an MBE? Is it
Is it? Yeah.
an OBE? What
An
would you have?
OBE.
An OBE? I can't remember which
I don't know
is
which
it,
one's which. A Sir will do.
So, oh yeah, we'll just knight.
Sir
Yeah.
Flory, that won't stop me putting
Sir
that everywhere,
Philippe.
would it?
Sir Philippe.
Sir Philippe. Yes, that's it. I'll be fine. Anyway, we will leave it right there. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll be back with you next week. So until later, everybody, happy modelling. Take care. Bye.
Bye.